Good morning, Ryan.
Morning, John. How are you doing?
Everything's good. And you?
Good, thanks. It's a lovely day, nice and cool out to start our morning, and you know, enjoying a nice coffee. And October's here. Can't believe it's fourth quarter already. It's been quite the very, very fast 2025.
Yes. The every time the time is moving faster, or at least our perception.
Indeed. But hey, that's all right. Well, we can have this same conversation in about 2 months when we're realizing that the year is just about over. Um, So fantastic. Well, glad to be chatting with you today as always. It's been a few weeks since we've gotten together. But welcome to our audience, anyone who's watching live or watching the recording. I'm Ryan McCall, CEO here at AnniQ, and with me is Jean.
Hey, everybody! Thanks to be here. I'm Jan, founder of AnniQ, and well, I have a long time working in AI, so ready to share some ideas and thoughts today.
Indeed, indeed. And today we're talking about, for all intents and purposes, what AI skills do you need in your employees, and not just new employees, but also your existing employees, and how you get to there. We'll be looking at this from a couple different perspectives. From how do you train your existing employee base? What do you look for in new employees? And what this all means from both a say business or an office worker perspective, and also from a technical engineering, software development perspective. So I think to start, John, maybe a great place to be where a great place to start would be, with you. What do you see as being most fundamental here in terms of for your for the company as it sits today? How do you develop what you see as learning AI to those people who maybe don't know anything beyond they've heard of ChatGPT or Claude or Grok or any of the sorts?
Uh, Before that answer, I want to bring a little bit more context. What is happening today and the use of the AI solutions. I think that is important to everybody understand why they need to really focus and get a path to learn AI. And I want to take something that happens. It sounds like the past. Maybe 2 weeks ago, OpenAI released a research and blog article about how people are using ChatGPT today, and they analyze like a million and a half conversations and start understanding patterns. I know that the sample, million and a half, it is a small sample if you compare when they say that they have more than seven yes 700 millions user active every month, so they have billions of conversations. But they found an interesting pattern, and I will split in only two segments to simplify. They found that only 3% or less of the 3% of the users has an advanced manage of the chat gpt, creating code, creating applications, pushing the chat gpt and the models to the best effort. The other 97% use ChatGPT for writing something, not specifically content as the content that we create in AnniQ and those communications, but simple content as I need the subject for my email. Give me the body for my email. Help me to explain better this idea. Other people use ChatGPT as a new search engine. Instead of Google, they ask to ChatGPT, get the links and the summary and the interpretation for their need. And the other people, it is using ChatGPT for really basic activities. So if we understand these two big segments, and the other big companies has similar results, Gemini, Anthropic, Perplexity, they found very similar distribution. It helped us to realize that upskilling and learn AI, it is not only about get a subscription. And when we say AI, that is a huge word, Ryan. We need at least again to split into big words, and I will split in the old AI, that is that classic AI of the machine learnings, data analytics, deep learning, and those applications that needs more data, more clicks, and the answer is needs more interpretation for the user. And we have the generative AI, and the generative AI is not only about generate or create a solution or answer for it. It is also to execute and perform actions for you. So we need to understand that we need both AIs in our world today. And let's bring that idea to our audience. Imagine an autonomous car. If you decide to drive the car, it gives to you the best route based on the traffic and everything in your GPS. But you need to still drive it. So that is the classic AI. Or you can turn your car in the autonomous mode. You still have the best road and the car start driving by itself, but you need to be aware of the car because some things could happen that the car doesn't manage, or the risk that something a crash or an accident will happen. So you as user is still to lead the full driving process, more assisted, but you need to be there. So we need to learn AI today first to be conscious about the impact that AI has in our lives, our activities, our jobs. And the best way that you can start learning AI, for me, it is open the door to the AI in your life. In simple things, you are more than the person that works for a company, more than your position, that more than the professional. So start helping or basic using AI in simple activities that helps for you in your life, and that could help to change your mindset. And the second big thing it is you really need to study about AI. And when I say study to change the learning word, it is you need to go and read documents or listen podcasts or watch videos and training sessions. But try to get sources that are trustable or are the original source. Let's say you want to learn OpenAI or ChatGPT, go to the OpenAI Academy. If you prefer Google Gemini, go to the Google Academy. And the same case, and learn from the base because it is the most trusted knowledge that you can find to start your journey. And many of those companies has journeys for everyone, from the beginner, from the scratch, from zero, or for experts also.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. And I think, you know, that education portion, right? That learning is what's really important, and instilling that within an organization. You know, continuous learning is one of the most important things I think anyone can do to keep themselves relevant in a job market. No one does the same job when they're 65 that they did as when they were 25. Because if you did, you wouldn't have a job, plain and simple. Unless that job evolved and you evolved with it by learning new tools and skills, that's certainly possible. But you can't say I'm doing exactly the same thing I did after 40 years. It just doesn't work that way. So you have to continuously improve and educate yourself. And in this day and age, part of that is learning and educating and using AI tools. Um, so, how would you say is the most efficient way, or in your opinion, the best way to implement that culture of learning and specifically enforcing that AI tools need to be a part of that?
I like a term that you mentioned, and it is continuous learning, Ryan. And I want to detail that because that help us to understand the best way to learn as company, as team, also the AI. Continuous learning, it is not only add more knowledge to your brain. Continuous learning also is about decide what you need to unlearn and relearn. And unlearn, it is also important because unlearn, it is not about forget. It is about delete patterns, break patterns that you have in your mind, in the way that you execute, and that opens the opportunity to change and add new knowledge, new concepts to build new patterns in your brain. And that is the continuous learning process. Deleting old patterns that is not useful today, maybe was useful in the past, and build new patterns. And when you build that new patterns, you are creating experience for you. And that is the amazing combination between the knowledge that everyone can access and how you create something unique with that knowledge. And that is also the best way to be unique, and I will say it from the business process, necessary for the company. So that is interesting. So how you can start learning this process? uh, I think there are ton of tools and alternatives in the market today. But my first it is focus and start trying to mastering one tool. Don't focus and distract with all the opportunities and tools that are in the market. And I think we can explain the experience we have in AnniQ for that case. We analyze and we decide that ChatGPT, it is our productivity partner for many activities. And we decide to learn, focus, and be very good users in the GPT models. For sure, and the conversation, it is not if Gemini or Anthropic is the best large language model. It is the best for you, for your needs, for your case. Decide and focus on this. The second, the same that I said before, start learning from the original source. I know that there are other sources that has very good content, but analyze this from the bias and the all that things that you unknown today about AI. If you are an expert on a specific topic, you have criteria to decide if the content of others are good or not. But if you are not expert, and we are thinking here, if you need to improve your skills on AI, is because you are not an AI expert. So trust in the original source. When you have criteria to decide which other sources are good, start moving to them. And that is important because as you have that big unknown cloud of knowledge, the other source could sound interesting, attractive, but they could lie to you. They could damage your learning process. They could create or add like a word is not bias. I'm trying to say something that breaks your good or best practice patterns. So start with the original source. My third tip it is work with your team. AI, and something that I said maybe 15 years ago when I spoke conference about AI. AI is about multidisciplinary team, and the most important it is team here. You need to work with others, and you can learn AI with others. And one example is that experiment that we made, Ryan, when ChatGPT launched the agentic AI mode. Same prompt, we share with all our team and compare the results. And everybody has different results. Sometimes good results, as my case, other case, not as good as happened to you. And we start identifying an important tip based on that experience sharing. We need to standardize our base prompt if we want to have better results or at least in the same line for the company. And that only happen if you share your experience, your questions, your doubts, your learning with others. It could be your team, your customers, your providers, your full ecosystem. And you could learn how others are using AI, the good, the bad things, and improve for your case and adapt for your case. And my last tip here it is avoid copy and paste prompts. And when I say that part, it is if you think that finding that post with 100,000 likes that say that will solve your full life, uh, keep moving your scroll. Don't copy and paste those prompts because that damage the process and doesn't let you to be unique and find better results. This is the same post that million or people has today. A prompt, sorry, and you need to create your own way to communicate with your AI. Think in your AI as an extension of you to perform, to execute. So train them and take care, as for example, you can take care of your blues music list in the YouTube or your Spotify, and something really valuable. The same with your AI.
I think those are all fantastic tips, John. I think what really resonated to me was combining two of those tips into one. One of them being, pick a tool, and the other one being learn with your team. And I think when you combine those two, you look at it and say, you know, standardize with your team, right? Everyone may have a preference on which, general, model to use, whether it's GPT or Claude or whatever. But pick one, because what you want to avoid is saying John uses Claude and Ryan uses ChatGPT and Leonardo uses Grok. And you're sitting there going, well, these are all wildly different. Not saying one is better than the other, but three people all in the same organization using three different generative AIs is not going to go well because you're all going to have different experiences, different results. So pick one, but standardize that one across that business process, right? Not saying that, your software developers have to use the same tool that, your office workers are using. Far from it. But your office workers should all use the same tool. And if your software developers are using a tool to help them code, they should all use the same tool. Um, so that's what I would add to that. But otherwise, totally spot on. And then, but yeah, so I mean, hey, we talked about learning, we talked about what tools to use, how to learn. I think one thing that's really important, before we start to talk about what tools are helpful and how you implement them, is something we both read the other day, about a certain well-known consulting company firing. I think it was something like 11,000 people, and because they decided that, you know we don't want to train these people how to use AI. We just want to replace them with 11,000 other people that already know how to use AI. Interesting strategy. There's a cost benefit analysis that, I mean, they're a consulting company. They had to have done the cost benefit analysis of, can we train these 11,000 people easier than we can just hire 11,000 people that already know what to do? Um, it's very possible. You know, we don't know what portions of the organization those people came from. I think if they were, some of their general consultants, I mean, maybe, I don't know. I'm not going to try and figure that part out, but I think it's a really, interesting thing that people should look at and go, wow, there's 11,000 people that just lost their jobs because the company decided that they didn't know some specific or abstract AI tools well enough. And the 11,000 other people that company is going to find that already knows those tools. So they decided, interestingly, to not try and educate their employees. They expected their employees would already know these tools and how to use them. So there's two things there. One, we think of things otherwise. We want to train our employees to use tools if they don't know how. But as a startup, we don't have that problem. We don't have tens of thousands of people that work for us. We have less than 10. And so it's easy for us to just say, well, we're just going to hire people who already know that. But if you work for a large organization or you're trying to find a job today, um, you need to know these things. It's basic. It's like, and what I'd love to transition now, it's like, if you're an office worker, you need to know how to use Microsoft Office, and there's no debating that, right? If you claim to be a software developer, you need to, know how to write code in at least one specific language, right? Um, so, we know what some companies are doing, we know what others are doing. We know that in either way, you either need to already know this, or you need to learn it to keep your job, or learn it to get a job, right? That's all there is to it. So, from our perspectives, right, looking at this from, say a business perspective, I'll just say more of a office productivity perspective, and then from your side of things, more of an engineering and software development and app development perspective. Um, what do you see as like being most important for specific AI tools? Maybe not names, but types of tools that people should be learning. And then, you know, how do you think that's going to affect their overall day to day?
Uh, uh, I think, Ryan, first, it is mindset. And your mindset is more important than the tools that you could use. Most of the tools on the market are amazing tools, and maybe uh, underused or under taking the advantage and the power of those tools, because as the OpenAI report, 97% is not making the best with the tool. And same happens with all of them. But first, your mindset. And mindset, it is not only today about that early adopter mindset. It's not to say I have access to the tool, I have the last version. When I say mindset here, it is you need to understand that you change today as AI colleague, moving from execute activities to create time. And when you change that way to measure the impact of your activities and how you use AI, you start embracing the AI tools with a different mindset, a different focus. And when I say it create time, it is also move from process. And processes is I have an input, I execute something and deliver an output to the next person or next system in the company. When we say journeys, it is understand that we are everything in a same production line for the business, and we are interacting in many scales and scenarios with our ecosystem, not only other people. And that means that I need to create time to be more productive. And that mindset also focus us in the full stack world. When I say the full stack, it is taken from the development. So the developments in full stack, they know front end, back end, cybersecurity, DevOps, infrastructure. They know about everything. Now, the full stack professional, I will take in that word, understand about the business, about monetization, about growth, about marketing, about the technical activity that the business executes, understand about innovation, about AI, and learns every day. So it is create time for all that things and can collaborate and integrate with all of them. Once you have that mindset and understand that is the first step, uh, you can just start picking your tool, ask to your friends or to your colleagues that has or are using AI today, and start simple and with your most basic and repetitive task. That could be my first tip. Don't try to solve the big problem or reinvent your company in the first try. Start with your repetitive task, maybe answering your emails, filtering or reviewing your emails, simplify your files, organizing your agenda for the week, and you can increase the complexity every day. Don't think here that you have months to learn. The process must be faster today. And every day you need to move one step in this journey.
I think that's actually really excellent advice. I love how you frame that as, every day you're learning, right? Continuous learning, right? This isn't you're going to learn for a month and be done. Yeah. So I look at it from this perspective is, you know, when you rewind decades ago, right? Everyone's doing, memos by hand and calculations by hand. And, you didn't have PowerPoint, right? You created transparent slides and you put them on an overhead these things. And and then Microsoft Office, or really Office productivity tools, they weren't the first, but you know what I mean. So Office comes around, and then it's like, oh wow, like you have to learn this, right? You have to learn how to use a computer. You have to learn how to use Microsoft Word and Excel and PowerPoint, right? They're productivity tools. They're basically there to make your life better, easier, and more productive. And that's how I see, from an office worker perspective, a general business perspective, is how a lot of AI tools are today. I'm not going to ask my accountant to go learn how to vibe code a new app, but am I going to ask my accountant to, as Microsoft, what they coined it the other day, vibe working, vibe,
Yes.
yeah, vibe working. Um, Not sure how I particularly feel about calling it vibe everything, but that's the world we live in these days. So a phrase catches on, and then it applies to everything. Um, but anyways, the point being is that, we're not saying you have to become an AI expert, but make yourself more productive, right? We're not saying AI is going to replace your job, but if your job is to write Word documents for some reason or another, use AI to help you create the outline, or give it an outline and let it make a first draft. And then the last thing I'll say in all this is that, you know, as much as we are an AI first company here at AnniQ, and as we believe that everyone should be learning AI tools to help them in their personal and professional lives, don't 100% rely on AI tools. Because if you think it in this perspective, if all you're doing for your job is typing a prompt into Chat GPT and then sending the results of that prompt to whoever asked for them, you're not adding value, because that person can do the same thing and get the same output as you. So use it as a starting point. Use it to help you go from 0 to 5 or 7, not 0 to 10. And then you have to step in as a human, check the work, refine it, and implement it, if you will. I read a great article the other day about how people who are doing that, who are just, essentially being generative AI prompters, are actually causing more work for the people that are upstream from them, because they're taking whatever they get out of the AI and just pushing it over without reviewing it, without changing it, without making it better. And then that person either has to do it themselves, or spend their time to read it, go, this isn't what I wanted, and kick it back and make that person do it again. So that's my one bit of caution: is don't just be a Chat GPT prompter. That's not going to help you or anyone else, but do use it to help you be more productive and give you a better starting point.
I 100% agree, Ryan, and that is build your criteria, improve your criteria to use those tools, and growth. Use as tools, because that is the definition. Uh,
Right.
that solutions or the AI won't solve our lives, or won't replace think for us, won't replace life for us. It is used to be better, used to create time, used to solve specific things. But your ideas, your criteria still is the most important.
100%. 100%, John. Well, thank you. So we're out of time today, but awesome conversation as always. And as always, we're very well aligned on these things, even if we're looking at them from a different perspective. So, John, thank you so much. And thank you to everyone who's watching or listening live today.
Thanks to you, Ryan, and see you next time.
Sounds
Bye.
great, my friend.